Hello, welcome back to another video. This is the 1902 house for my year-by-year challenge starting in 1900. Yes, we are only on 1902 and I've been doing this for a few months now. To get that part over with this video, I've had some personal things, so I haven't been uploading. I haven't really been trying or playing The Sims or anything for a few weeks now, and if I sound a little tired, it's because I have not been feeling well for a while, but also I hope I sound better in the sense of quality, because I was gifted a microphone for Christmas, so I do hope that that sounds better. But anyways, I'm here. Hi, this is 1902. Now, another small disclaimer. This might not actually be a house from 1902. I discovered after filming everything, after editing everything, that this house might have actually been built, or the floor plan might have actually been made in 1910, but that wasn't extremely obvious when I looked up the floor plan. It's just a comment on the post on archive.org. Anyways, so my apologies that this is probably not from 1902, but the styles really didn't change that dramatically from 1902 to 1910. This one and most of the styles within the book, which this one, I don't know if I said, this is from the Radford Ideal Homes 100 House Plans. So, it's just another one of those books of house plans. And pretty much everything in it looks kind of Victorian, but also going away from the Victorian, like true Victorian, of being overly decorated and everything, and going a bit more arts and crafts where it's kind of stripped down, but there are still some fun little details. So for this one, I went more folk Victorian. Also, I had some issues with these little things. I don't know what they're called. It just wouldn't do what I wanted it to do. It would have been so nice if it did. But I struggled for a really long time trying to do that, and so I just wanted to include a little bit of it here so you could see my struggle. But yeah, I decided to go a bit more of a folk Victorian style for this house, just because it's very, very plain, a very simple house, and I didn't want the style to necessarily just be true Victorian, because that's not what it looks like in the book. In the illustration of it, it looks very plain, very kind of boring, which yeah, I didn't mean to go for super boring in terms of like style of the house. I kind of am leaning towards, for this challenge, just doing small houses, just because they're a bit more playable, in my opinion. Everyone says The Sims 4 is like a millennial life simulator, and I don't know about you guys, but in playing it kind of as a millennial life simulator, I never really have a big house. I always have a very small house. So granted, I haven't really been playing The Sims much lately. If I am playing a game, I've been playing City Skylines, simply because I just don't have the mental capacity lately to try to make a storyline and stuff like that. I'm just getting really invested in building like intersections and things in City Skylines. So that's just how I've been. December always throws me for such a loop. So I've really been kind of out of it for the whole month. Yeah. But I'm not abandoning this. I'm still doing it. It's always been in my own time. It's always been, when I can make time for it. So here we are. This house is definitely pretty simple, I would say, but as far as like the folk Victorian element of it, I didn't throw up any pictures of it just because it does vary a lot, but folk Victorian just kind of translates to me as a bit more of a country Victorian vibe, and it's a bit more colorful, it's a bit more clumsy, not perfect, a bit more cluttered and stuff like that. And it's got some kind of farmhouse type of elements in terms of quilts and rugs, and there's a lot of plates on the walls and stuff. Like in the living room, I did a lot of plates everywhere. And I don't know why, that was just a popular decoration of the time, was decorative plates. And we only really have like one decorative plate in The Sims 4, so I used it a bunch. I did really like the kitchen. The kitchen's always one of my favorite things to do in a period type of home, especially these old ones, just because it's so not how kitchens are now. Like, they had full-on pieces of furniture inside of their kitchens because countertops weren't, as needed. I don't know. Countertops weren't as big of a thing, I feel like, in the early 1900s. We started to see them a lot more in the 1920s. I could be wrong on that. It could just be like they were more popular in richer houses. I'm not too sure, but definitely a thing that I've seen in poorer houses. And like I talked about last time, the slums of Berlin, a lot of times there were just full-on dressers and tables and stuff inside of kitchens because that's what they would use for storage. I'm sure that wasn't necessarily the case in very like wealthy, well-to-do houses, but I don't exactly know what those kitchens looked like. I feel like they just had a lot of tables, but whatever. Countertops weren't as much of a thing, I feel like, until the 20s. But yeah, this living room is very much not a huge family living room. This house isn't really like for a big family or anything like that. I actually forgot to put a bathroom until the very end, so you will see a little bedroom on this first floor that I cut out of the recording just because I realized I didn't have a bathroom. Most likely there would have been some sort of outhouse or something. If there wasn't a bathroom inside of the house, it could have just been chamber pots maybe. I'm not 100% on that, don't quote me, but there definitely wasn't a bathroom in the plan. So I turned this little bedroom that's on the first floor into a bathroom just because that made the most sense as far as space, because you see upstairs is only 2 bedrooms, and those little extra rooms on the side were actually closets, which is a very odd thing for an early 1900s house, especially one this small. To have included closets is kind of unusual, but no bathroom. So I didn't want to make an outhouse because I didn't know what you would do with hygiene, because you can see in the floor plan there's literally nothing as far as like a washroom or anything. So I'm not exactly sure where that was supposed to go in this house, but I just added it in there. So it's not 100% accurate. My apologies. I did want to do with this bedroom the 2 twin beds because that was such a common thing. Not even in the early 1900s, like up until I would say the 70s, it was a huge thing to have 2 twin beds in a bedroom, whether it be for a main bedroom or for a kid's bedroom. I don't exactly know why we parted ways with that, but it was a very common thing to see for an extremely long amount of time. Again, I don't have the specifics of that because who does, but Oh, and I wanted to use this bed because this bed is just so Victorian to me. It might seem a little out of place in such a small house, but that's kind of the thing with folk Victorian stuff, is that they had really beefy furniture, really over the top furniture and detailed stuff, but it might have been surrounded by kind of basic things like basic wallpaper, basic flooring, and all of that. When you look up pictures on like Google, you see a lot of it is very fancy, very like nice, well-made furniture, but the setting of it is very common, like just a regular old house that people are living in, a utilitarian type of space, yet you have very kind of ornate almost furniture. So that's interesting. Also, this is the point in which I realized that there was no bathroom in this house, so I was trying to figure out how I could add a bathroom. So we finally get a bathroom. I wanted to go for that painted wood look again just because I really like it, and the only way you can really do it in The Sims 4 is with this blue wood because that's the only one that matches, And diagonal sinks were a super common thing, so I did that trick again with putting that kind of buffet table or accent table, whatever it is, super tiny and up behind the sink. So in the illustration for this house, they don't give much info as to the yard or anything like that. It just looks like it's got some sort of paving around the house, and then very minimalist type of landscaping, some bushes here, some trees there, and that sort of thing. Oh yeah, I wanted to mention the whole facade of the house was very difficult to make to begin with. I kind of didn't talk about that when I was doing it, but when you look at the illustration of it, it's got a very weird bump out around the upstairs windows, like along the roof line, and there just really isn't any way that I could think of to recreate that, hence the kind of weird roof that I've got going on. But I chose this house and then realized afterwards that there wasn't really any way that I could do that, so oh well, I tried my best. It looks very close to it, and the color scheme I tried to get at first very realistic colors, which is why I was going for like the very weird dark and moody vibe in the beginning, and then I just decided to switch it up and go for more bright, just because the colors within the game fit better with that sort of color scheme. It might not be entirely perfect and true to real life, but I liked it better, so I went with it. Anyways, here's the screenshots. I will be doing 1903 soon. It won't take me 3 or 4 weeks to do, I promise, I think. But anyways, thank you for watching. Thank you for sticking around if you have. And give me a like. Subscribe if you want to. Thank you. Have a good day. Goodbye.